One of my favorite quotes by an artist is from Pat Metheny in an interview he gave years ago where somebody asked him about his approach to improvisation. And just like a little tiny bit of context, like there are some jazz musicians who play licks and they learn licks and patterns and they have this huge internal library of licks and patterns, and then they just call those up as they play. And other musicians, and I guess Miles Davis was maybe the most famous of these ones, want to truly improvise. They're like the most purest form of improvisation, to actually invent something brand new every single time they play. And Miles Davis at some points in his career wouldn't even play the same song twice because he wanted to truly improvise. So somebody asked Pat Metheny where on that continuum he falls. And Pat said something that really it's like become my mantra as an artist. He said, for me, improvisation is not about making up something brand new every time out. It's about showing up in a particular moment and making a gesture that is so true to that moment that it enhances the eternity of that moment and has the capacity to remind us of something that we may have forgotten or that we didn't know we knew in the first place. And that to me is just an incredibly powerful philosophical approach to being an artist. And liberating. Because what Pat is saying is he's not thinking about creating art. And he's not worried about doing something that's original. That's not relevant to him. That all he's trying to do is be present and respond authentically to that moment. And it's fascinating to hear a jazz musician speak that way because their art form is completely abstract. And yet, you can hear Pat's work and you can hear that it's contemporary. And so, like, Pat knows what's going on in our world. He knows all of the tragedies and all of the horrors and all of the beauty. He's not living in any kind of bubble. But he doesn't go directly take a photograph of a horror or directly take a photograph of a beauty. He only has notes on a guitar to take all of that into account. And you can hear it in his music. And that's always, like that's the most inspiring thing to me, to think that way. That all I have to do as a photographer, instead of thinking about, I have to create some art, I have to do something original that's never been done before. Like the thought of doing something original that's never been done before is completely intimidating. It's crushing. But I never have to think about that again. Don't have to think about doing something original. Don't have to think about breaking some paradigm or whatever the stuff that you read in the artist statements of conceptual artists. All I have to do is go out in the world and respond authentically to what's in front of me. That's what Pat was saying there. And that's something we can do. Like, that's something achievable.